just not Wednesday, but the last time I was with you, I shared that I had a problem with my calibration. I want to show you how I went from this to this. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. One of the things that I did not show when I was making the tutorial for how to do sublimation on glitter heat transfer vinyl was that I tried to also do a print and cut on this image that I downloaded from Creative Fabrica. I had so many struggles during the filming of that video that I was just trying any image. Well, I actually printed this one multiple times, but I've since been able to get in contact with someone from Siser North America. Big shout out to Pam. She gave me all of her tips and tricks, and I am going to give them to you. She helped me go from this to this, and I am super excited to share it. One of the tips and tricks she shared is to use a pen instead of actually cutting out, and use regular paper instead of using your materials up. So I'm just going to share all the tips and tricks, and at the end of this video, if you find it helpful, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and turning on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials I use for this project include, of course, my Siser Romeo. I used this black bag that came from this set of 3. I used PPD t-shirt printing transfer paper, the one that is for dark fabrics. I only prefer the one for dark fabrics. In order to do the calibration, I used just a regular sheet of white copy paper. I used the marker adapter that came with my Siser Romeo, and I used a Bic pen. My printer is an old inkjet Canon MX472. I don't think that printer is on the market anymore, but any inkjet printer will do, because this is not done with sublimation ink at all. Now, let's look at how to do the calibration first. In order to prepare for calibration, the first thing you can do is place a plain sheet of copy paper on the mat. Next, you will want to remove the blade housing from the tool holder. Next, grab the marker adapter. It has a narrow piece at the bottom and is wider at the top. I have found that when it's time to insert the marker adapter, it's better to insert it without the pen instead of trying to insert it with the pen. It's quite hard to do it that way. So insert the marker adapter without anything inside. Push it down inside the blade housing. Use one hand to hold it securely. Use the other hand to push the marker adapter in. Start to twist the knob slightly and then insert the pen. Here's my big pen. I put the cap on the end of it. I'm going to push the pen in, holding with one hand and pushing with the other. Make sure you do not push the tip of the pen in too far, because the tip of the pen should not be touching the machine. If the tip of your pen is touching your machine, you've gone down too far. Next, let's get the mat inserted into the machine and move the tool holder over to the middle of the paper. Let's go over to the screen and establish our cut settings for calibration. Touch the cut settings option, change the speed to 10, and change the force to 30. Now that we have our settings, I'm going to tap the settings option. I'm going to click camera. I'm going to hold the camera icon until the OK button turns gray in the middle and I see a blue icon or blue image on the screen. Holding the camera icon, the OK turned gray. I see the blue image on the screen. Now I'm going to press start. When I press start, the pen will draw 4 squares on the paper. Okay, so you see the 4 squares on my paper. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the screen and make sure that the red crosshairs on the screen line up perfectly with the squares that the pen drew on the paper. We're back at the screen. Now we're going to make sure that the red crosshairs that's right there on the screen is lined up exactly in the center of the squares. So what you're going to have to do, and what I had to do, was I had to magnify it first, and then I had to move the red crosshairs down, and I had to move it over until it was directly in the middle. Once you get the crosshairs directly in the center of those squares, you're finished. There's nothing else to do now except to get your design printed and cut. So let's see if it worked. I am in Leonardo Design Studio. I'm bringing in the image of the dog in the pumpkin as a print and cut image. I'm going to click next. I did not make any changes to the mask tolerance here. I allowed the software to smooth it out. I did include the holes, and then I thought about it and I decided I did not want it to do that. So I unchecked it, went back and allowed it to trace over it again, because I don't want there to be any holes. The next thing I did was brought the contour in. I did a little bit of a contour, not too much, because I was a little bit afraid that my calibration didn't work. And then right here, I'm just going to size it as big as I can for print and cut on an 8.5 by 11 size sheet of paper. So right here, I'm just playing around with the sizing, making sure that I don't have any of those red lines that let me know that I've gone too far with the image. I made the image as big as I could. Now it was time to send the design. We are in the printer settings here, and I'm going to click send to printer. I'm actually going to use my inkjet printer, and the settings are just a little bit different. I did select 8.5 by 11, but let's look closer at my printer settings. I did select other photo paper with the print quality high, and I am going to click OK and get this printed out. Here is my first printed copy on regular paper. I have the paper on the mat in the bottom left corner. The pen is back there in the tool holder. Let's see how this goes. I did a quick test cut and then I pressed go. Let's see how it worked out. Please trust me when I say you did not need to hear me screaming in the background. Now that I've calibrated my image, let me show you how I was able to print and cut the image and place it on this bag. All right, now we are going to get this cut out. It's looking at the registration lines. Look at the cut. I was literally screaming in the background. I was so excited about this. All right, let's get the mat removed from the machine and check it out and see if the cuts are as exact as they look. Remember, with the PPD paper, you do not mirror your image because you are pressing the image face up. It looks great. Let's move to the heat press. We are at the heat press. The heat press is set to 375 degrees with heavy pressure. I'm going to quickly do a pre-press on the bag. I'm going to remove the image from the backing. and I'm going to carefully place it on top of the bag. I'm placing the image on the bag as flat as possible and using the silicone sheet that comes in the package to go on top of the image. I'm going to close my heat press and press the image on heavy pressure for 13 seconds. It is not recommended that you remove the sheet until after 30 seconds. So this is the finished product. And what am I going to say? I love it. You already know I'm going to say I love it. Now, what I ended up doing off camera was pressing a second image on the back, but let me give you my final thoughts. Well, hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. You know this is the finished product and you know I'm going to say I love it. Now during the video, I only pressed this side, and because this little piece right here was bothering me, I printed another image and then put the other one on the other side. So I just think this is so super cute. If you did find this tutorial helpful, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and turning on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.